Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new Stranded Alien Dawn livestream. My name is Jens, I am part of the community team here at Frontier and it is my extreme pleasure to be your host as we take a look at the very recently released mod editor, mod tools and Steam workshop support for Stranded Alien Dawn. This is a very exciting day and I hope you all out there are excited to join me in this as well. I do see a lot of familiar faces and people in chat. We will get to those very shortly. If you're just joining us for the very first time, Stranded Alien Dawn is a planet survival sim where you manage a group of survivors who have recently crash landed on an alien planet, and the game is out now in early access. And today, just an hour ago, at the time of this going live, we released mod support, we released mod editor tools, and Steam workshop support for the game. So that's what we're going to be chatting about on this stream. Luckily, I am not going to be doing this alone. I am joined by the lovely, the amazing, the very technically minded, more so than me, Mr. Chris Jackson. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm okay.
Welcome to the stream. Good to have you here.
Yeah, here we are.
And from what I understand, this isn't your first time in this room. I think it might be your first time on stream.
Yes.
But you actually helped build this room back in the day.
A little bit, yeah.
So
yeah,
how does it feel now being back inside the space you helped build?
Area. There's a lot of room now. It's good.
There is definitely a lot of room here. So yeah, we're going to be getting some help from Chris to talk about the mod editor, the modding tools, because you've sort of become the at least I refer to you as the sort of de facto expert in this. You've spent a couple of weeks learning all these tools and making sure that you know them inside and out.
Yeah. It's been a busy few weeks, and we're here now. So yeah. I'll help out.
And we might also see a familiar face of yours in the game
This is possible.
very shortly. We're also going to be we're also joined by two lovely people from our good friends over at Hemimont Games, the developers of Stranded Alien Dawn. If everything is as it should be, we should have with us via the power of the internet. Bisser and Kali from Hemimont Games. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Hey guys, great to be here.
It is great to have you here. So yeah, mod tools, mod editor, Steam workshop support. We released it an hour ago. How does it feel for the two of you to finally be able to deliver this in the early access period?
I feel absolutely terrific. This has been a crucial part of the development of Stranded, and I'm also really glad that it doesn't seem like the game is crashing every 24 seconds.
Yeah, so far so good. I've had a bit of I've played around with some of the official mods that you guys have released, and we'll talk about them later. And so far everything is working pretty well so far. That's it's been really fun to play around with it. So what are we going to do today? We're going to look at the mod tools. We're going to look at what you can potentially do with them. We're going to be checking out some of the official mods that Hemimont have made for this update. And obviously we look forward to all the mods that you at home might also be creating with some of these tools. And obviously with Stranded Alien Dawn being an early access title, we welcome all your feedback and your suggestions in various places, whether that be on the Steam forums, on our social channels, or on the Stranded Alien Dawn Discord, which if my kind mods could just drop a link in the chat on the, I think it's this side for most of you, then that would be very, very helpful. So hold on, there was a good comment here as well from Osric42, one of our moderators, saying loving the dreads, Chris. It looks like you worked on them for quite a while, I gotta say.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, a lot of really cool people hanging out and are excited about mods. So I think then, without further ado, we can jump into the game and take a look at the first thing that we're going to be taking a look at. So first off, starting off, I want to ask Bisser and Kali, because you're gonna help us answer questions about mods and whatever questions people might have over in chat. So please feel free to drop us a question about mods if you want to in chat. So the I guess my first question is, will modding be easy? Like what's the sort of level of technical skill you should have if you want to try your hand at making a mod for this game?
The modding functionality for Stranded is a natural evolution of the modding capabilities of our in-house engine. So basically, if any of the players out there have tried out our previous game, Surviving Mars, and have dabbled in modding with it, those guys will have very handy experience that will be that will make the learning curve much more gentle and will ease in the introduction to the mod tools that we're releasing. And even though if you go deep, you can go really into technical details and start dabbling with art and use external applications like Blender, we design our mod tools in a way that you can try them out and change different aspects of the game without the need for deep technical knowledge. So it's basically you go as deep as you want to approach, and we've seen that pay out really well in the past, and our fans enjoying this approach, and we believe that specifically for Stranded this is absolutely the right way to go. So no, do not, while you can benefit from some technical understanding, it's by no means a prerequisite for modding. The maximum that you can do is break the game.
I mean, that's always in my experience, that is always the thing with mods or messing around with anything technical in these games. It's sometimes it can break, but then you just disable the mod and you're good to go, I guess. So we're going to take a look at because there are 4 official mods that you guys at Hemimont have made that people can now download from the Steam Workshop. And the first one of them that we're going to take a look at is based on our good friend here, Chris Jackson. And yeah, we're going to bring him out of the base here very, very quickly. So this is Chris Jacko Jackson, based on the person to my left. So how did this come about, Mr. and Kali? How did you, and maybe Chris can help answer this too, how did you decide, yeah, let's make Chris, who's working on the game, a mod that people can then add into their group and into the game?
Well, when we started working on modding, we really wanted to test the capabilities, and Chris had some awesome ideas, and he created this mod himself, and it was pretty awesome.
Yes, it was not us, it was Chris himself. But we think that the character is really cool. We also think that Chris is really cool himself, so it was just a natural I would say natural development. We're extremely happy to have Chris in the game, and I want to take the opportunity to apologize to Chris specifically for all the different ways his character is going to die in the next 2 weeks or something.
I mean, that depends. That all depends on the players, you know. It's based on how they play the game. But yeah, he might. But I mean, if you take a look at his stats are pretty good. I would say, like you're
a little OP.
I'd say you're pretty good here. I have you as part of a group in a different save game, and that group is just thriving, mainly because you're very good at building. You're very good at taking care of just everything that needs to be taken care of. So yeah, good at combat, good at construction, somewhat indifferent to cooking and farming, but also very good at crafting, very good at healing, very good at physical stuff. So how would you say your in-game self compares to your real life self?
So, I'm you know, his background is, you know, he is a prepper.
Yes.
And although I'm not a prepper per se, it's, you know, I am building my off-grid van at the moment, and that's where the whole solar panel thing came from, and I've been doing a lot of construction, a lot of work with power management. So
sort of a modern Renaissance man, kind of deal.
Yeah, and you know, he is deemed a wild man, and yeah, I just started creating it, and I was like, yeah, I'm not particularly good at cooking. And you know, when you do the things that are indifferent here, he does get that negative sort of happiness penalty for it. And later on, we'll talk about his actual traits and how they affect, because they're all custom traits that we created. They're not in game.
That was going to be the next thing that I was gonna go to, actually, because yeah, we see your stats on the side here. Like you said, you are personally interested in construction, in crafting, etc. That is reflected in your in-game self. And you also mentioned that there's I mean, you come with a research already unlocked, because like with Chris as part of your group, you can then have improved solar panels, I believe it is, right off the bat. That is available to you if you have the resources for it. But if we take a quick look at your traits here, you're an avid carpenter. You can construct stuff with wood very, very quickly. Always in a good mood, happy-go-lucky. Would you say that that's accurate?
99% of the time, yeah, that's a good percentage.
Yeah, I mean, we've chatted a little bit. You always seem like a very happy, you know, fun-loving person. You move slightly quicker because you've lived a lifetime in the wilderness.
In the wilderness, in the game.
Bit of a camper yourself, like you go out on like into the woods and things.
Very, very outdoorsy. So I'm always out and about, often found in the woods.
And then finally, it's your R&D burnout, refuses to do research and observation tasks when unhappy. But seeing as you're happy-go-lucky...
This is absolutely not true, by the way. Sorry to like chime in, but we've been through a couple of hard moments during the development. Chris never lets go in real life, but you know, the character has to be balanced out. So.
I was going to say, it feels like this is the nerf you put in just to make sure that he's not just way, way too overpowered. I feel like you just, start off a game with just Chris as the single survivor.
Yeah.
I think you can make it pretty far with this one survivor as your one dude, and obviously this survivor comes with a backstory and all of that, as well as served as a prepper in the before times. And someone in chat also did say totally a prepper, LOL, but I guess that's up to interpretation, and you know, sometimes it's a good idea to have an off-grid van just in case you need it. So have you? This is a weird sentence, and I realized what it's going to sound like. How's it been playing with yourself, Chris?
Well, and pause. Yeah, it's strange. You know, there's no two ways about it, and. You know, when we were working on and, you know, developing this character, you know, obviously the bugs and fixes come through, and you see your name, and it's like, I'm the problem here. So that was strange, you know, searching for your own name within a database to look at what's going on. But yeah, it is strange, and I am very biased. I may reload the odd save if something unfortunate should befall him or me. But yeah, with the R&D burnout, that's more from my personal life when I was trying to get something working. I was like, I'm not happy, not doing it. Can't make me do it. So work and home life, very different.
Okay. So there's a level of truth.
There is truth
there,
in there, yeah.
Even though Bisser says otherwise, for sure. Amani Wolf in chat says, Chris and Krista, I'm calling it now, and we'll see. Yeah, we can cancel out of that, but we'll see how that goes in this save game that you created. But yeah, that is Chris Jacko, quote unquote, the man from the wilds. One of the new mods that you can download now from the Steam Workshop. And I got to say, as a way to demonstrate what you can do with the modding tools, I think this is a very good sort of jumping off point. And I think, for people who are looking to maybe add a slightly lowered difficulty level as well to your game, this Survivor is an excellent addition, in my opinion. I've had a really good time playing around with this Survivor as part of my group in the game as well. So definitely worth checking out if you ask me. But I think then, Adam, if we could jump out of the game real quick, and then on screen here we will jump into the mod manager itself. So when you download a new mod from the Steam Workshop, there's going to be, you will need a way to make sure that certain things are turned on. Maybe certain things will need to be turned off. So we're gonna take a look at the mod manager, which Bisser or Kali, if you can quickly talk about it for us while Adam brings it up on the screen here.
Okay, sure. We have the mod manager that is immediately available on the starting screen, and it lists the mods that you are subscribed to on Steam. You can see the Steam icon on the left. But you can also have local mods that are located solely on your PC. That would also be listed here if pasted into the appropriate folder. And on this screen, you're able to, for example, use the tags to filter different mods. You can see the mods that are installed for your game, and you can enable or disable them. This is the gateway to the mods, and you can go just this far if you only want to download mods from the internet and not dabble in modding yourself, but you want to make the game a bit different and, for example, have Chris Jacko in the game. If you want to go deeper, there you have the button that launches the mod editor.
Well, that I think is a very good transition for us to just click on the mod editor button, and that should bring up the mod editor as well as some documentation as well. But yeah, there's then you will get the Stranded Alien Dawn modding documentation, which is a run through of what you can and what you can't do with these mods. We've talked a bit about what we can do. Mr. and Kali, do you want to talk a bit about what might not be possible with the modding tools? I'm assuming that they're fairly powerful, but I'm guessing there must be some sort of limit to it.
The mods are really powerful, especially if the people trying them out are willing to go deeper into Lua programming or dabble with external graphical applications like Blender. Without those, you will be able to use the settings of the mod editor to alter existing content in the game, to alter its gameplay effect, to change basically your experience, but within the limits of what is currently already in the game. If, for example, you want to go further and you want to have your own piece of art in the game, there you will need to use Blender, for example, is the tool that we're referring to in the documentation. We're also providing a specific exporter that will allow the any Blender scene to be exported into the game, given that it meets the technical requirements. And Kali can also go deeper, but for that we are using the new landing pod statue, which we have included and published on Steam so people can use it as an example.
Okay, let's open that up and see what we can take a look at. I mean, you mentioned that people can import their own assets if they want to. We saw that with the Chris mod, as I like to refer it to. Your portrait is, of course, a picture that you've taken of yourself and then imported into the game and made it up to look a bit more like it does in like for the other Survivor portraits. Yeah. But I do believe your character model is sort of a mishmash of other survivors as well. So that is a possibility for you to do. Like you can take stuff that's already in the game and tweak it and combine it together, and you can also bring in external things. So there's a lot of different possibilities for you if you want to do that. So yeah, Kali, do you want to continue where Bisser left off with this landing pod mod here?
Yeah, with the landing pod statue, we really wanted to show how you can import a Blender scene into the game, and also how you can tweak the building details. For example, the landing pod statue has a different color while it's being built. Mm-hmm. So this is something you can adjust with this right side of the modding editor screen. Mm-hmm. You will see a lot of definitions, but they're like pretty self-explanatory.
Right.
It's very easy to actually start using the mod tools by copying already existing items in the game. This is something you can do. For example, when I started using those tools, I was brand new in modding, so it really helped just to copy already existing stuff from the game to see how they were actually created in the first place and what are the values that they are using as a base. So this is something you can do to start. And after that, you can just tweak like the display names, the building materials that are required. This is how we actually created this mod, because it's pretty simple. It has only this building mod item and the entity that's imported. And since we wanted this building to be available in the beginning of the game, we also changed the starting loot that you get when you land on the planet.
Interesting. Okay.
So you also get stone. And this way you will have stone immediately at the beginning, and the building will be available for you to build right away.
That's cool. And I think also if you launch the mod editor, it should immediately launch a testing environment as well. Yeah, here it is, where it gives you a set of random survivors, and then immediately you can see here is the landing pod mod, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But this is just to showcase what it looks like and how it all fits together.
That's right, Jens. Thank you for pointing this out. This is players can jump right into the testing environment. There are specific cheats that are available in the mod editor, so players can immediately test what they're doing and how does it look. And specifically with the landing pod statue, we're providing, as an example, a Blender art scene. And there is a section in the documentation which explains how to use Blender, how to use our exporter so that people can export art from Blender that will be recognizable by the game engine.
Okay, interesting. You mentioned that it's possible to bring in things from Blender, for example. Would it be possible for modders to add things like animations, for example, or new, I think new textures was also a question that I saw in chat as well?
Yes, animations and textures are possible, but specifically animations are quite complicated because there is a list of prerequisites that they have to answer to. Again, as Kali said, the best approach here is to look at what's already been done and how it's done, and then try to modify it first so you can understand better how the whole system works.
Okay. Chris, yourself, when starting out with this, you've spent a couple of weeks trying to learn these tools. How did you find it? I mean, you're a technical guy already, but how was it for you to jump in and start learning this stuff?
Very similar as to what Kali was saying. It's, the best way of starting is to look at what the other mods are, how they've been done, and take the ideas from there. And that is your easiest sort of entry point is to see how others were made, which is how I made Jacko.
Right.
You know, I took an existing character and then just swapped things around, and slowly but surely, after many, many hours, you can start digging under the hood a little bit and really, really going for it. So, yeah, the documentation is there. You know, these are development tools. You know, you can go as far as you want to, but yeah, it does take a bit of practice. But you know, you can swap things around, and some things obviously a lot more simple than others.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there are, of course, the official mods that we have released onto the Steam workshops. They are all available in the mod editor. I believe there are some sample mods as well that you can look at and tweak around and see what you can do with it. And we wanted to give a quick demonstration, and I believe you, Chris, had the idea to add your dog into the game, which I think we can just try to, if you could quickly, if it's possible to quickly explain how you would do that.
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm going to make a new mod.
Right.
I'm going to name it
Baxter. That's a great name for a dog.
It's the name of my dog.
Fantastic dog name. Yeah.
So we are going to load Baxter. It's thinking about it.
While we get this loaded up, I'm going to take a moment to take a look at the chat to see if there are any questions for people. Hold on. Espelin are saying there's plenty of ideas running through my head for now, and then yeah, they have some ideas of some things they want to do, and there's a question here as well. I see some questions about Elite Dangerous drops. They will happen during Elite Dangerous streams. They do not happen on the stream, just to make sure that people are aware of that. So these official mods, Bespoke Kali, do you think, are you planning on maybe making more of these official mods, or is it going to be the ones that we have in front of us now? Because they add some pretty good things to the game, in my opinion.
We certainly have ideas that are floating around, but we also have a saying in our local game dev community that ideas are five for a penny.
Sure.
So it really depends on both how the players react, what is perceived as needed, what are the current challenges for the next steps that we're taking with the game. So there is a lot of moving parts. I don't want to make commitments at this stage.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And you know, game development takes time and all of that stuff, and anything technical can always take more time than you think it can. But
as I said earlier, we're definitely looking to see the players' feedback, and we're definitely making our decisions based on what we're seeing as reactions. So, shout out if you want more mods.
That is great. All right, so Baxter the dog, we have our mod loaded up here in the editor. So, Chris, why don't you take it away and see where we go from there?
Right, so let's make Baxter. You can put preview images that you'll see in the workshop, etc., but we're not going to go into that just now. And we're just going to make a new animal, and then from there I'm going to go very quick here.
Oh yeah, go ahead. No, it's fine.
Dogs, copy from dogs. My dog is a German pointer.
Right.
Weimaraner is very close to that, so bonus, we will use that as a base. And
it's very easy that you can just click, just take dog, and then we make new from dog.
And that will populate from below. And the dogs in the game are all carnivores, whereas Baxter, he does like a little bit of bread. So
oh, really?
We're gonna make him omnivorous in the game.
Okay.
So
I immediately thought of, because my grandparents used to have a dog, and it would often like to eat like our cinnamon buns, or try to eat our cinnamon buns whenever she would make cinnamon buns. So I just immediately thought of that. But that's cool. All right.
So we're going to make him omnivorous, and we're going to make it 100% chance to tame, but we're not going to tame him. But these are just settings you can go through and look at. So, consumed resources, he will eat carnivorous, he will eat slops.
Right.
But we want to add bread. So, consumed resources.
Oh, interesting.
We are going to...
Could you potentially make something that just eats metal or stone or wood?
That is a good question. Scrap metal.
It's there.
Don't think it's going to be as nutritious as...
Do you think you can survive
Probably
without
not.
scrap metal?
I mean,
He does eat stones.
yeah. I mean, I was going to say it's just an added challenge level. It's for the people out there who've finished the game in insane mode with the Chaos Moon. They can
Survive
just,
on scrap metal.
Just survive on scrap metal and see how far you get.
What we also need to change is his name in-game, which should be just above this. So the display name in-game is Weimaraner. So we're going to change that to Baxter. And you can see tabs working, Control-A, multi-select, all that kind of fun stuff. Baxter in there. Description, user passive, small chance to retaliate. And likes bread.
Love it.
And a good snooze. What we could also do is have his sleeping routine longer because he does enjoy a big kip.
Sure.
The icon is going to be the Weimaraner. You could change the icon if you wish, but we are going to save that and break the golden rule straight off the bat. You need to name your ID. You need to give the mod an ID so the engine will know what you're talking about.
Right. Yes.
So if I was to call it Chris, it's going to confuse things. So we're just going to call it...
Yeah, make sure that you don't name it the same as something else because that can cause some issues.
And it won't let you from within this screen, from within the editor. So no spaces either. It will tell you off if you try and put spaces in.
Okay, wonderful.
And I've got to type that again now just to prove my point. Baxter.
There's a great comment here from Epsilon Arch saying, if Baxter keeps eating stone, does that make him a Rockweiler?
Oh, nice.
Very nice. Very good.
Very good. Okay, so Baxter the dog. Take the spaces out. So you've got an exclamation mark and it's basically save it and it all goes away. If things are exclaimed on the left, you're doing something wrong, and generally it will tell you in the item properties at the top if something went wrong. Right, test. So currently Baxter is not in the game. So what we're going to do is within this test environment, we're going to point down there and we are going to hit test.
And there he is.
And there he is. And he's called Dog.
Yes.
Is...
Do we maybe have to observe him?
Nice, yes.
Is what because I'm just guessing now from my limited technical experience. What I'm guessing has happened is you've changed the observed dog parameters, if that's the right word for it, but not the unobserved dog parameters.
So they're all just dogs. You don't know it's Baxter until you've observed it.
That's cool. And there it is, Baxter.
Now it's Baxter all along. You checked his collar. It's Baxter.
Cool.
Nice.
And likes bread and a good snooze. That's fantastic. That's wonderful.
Although we've only used the mod to make him eat bread, we could have it as well so he enjoys a bit of a kip.
Okay.
And there's also a 100% chance to tame, but we don't have any meat within this test environment to tame him.
Right. Yes.
But you can make him just easy to tame. And what I always do with this as well, and I will end on this, is if I go up here to search in the properties, and I'm going to type in life, I'm going to make his lifespan.
To make him live forever?
Yeah.
Max lifetime, 500 days.
There we go.
Do it. Okay, that's so cool. And there's Baxter the dog, who's going to live for as long as possible. Or at least
he's going to get
500
hungry
days.
soon, so yeah.
unless he dies of starvation first, but you know. Question here from K Enigma saying, I'm guessing we would need a Blender plugin for exporting, or does the game take .obj? I'll leave it open for anyone to answer.
I can jump in there if you want, guys. So you import a .blend into Blender, and as Bissa mentioned earlier, there is an exporter. It's all in the documentation, and it exports it as an object, a .ent, which will be recognizable within the game.
All right, cool. I recognized some of those words, but the rest I'm sure you understood better than I did. Okay, let's see here if there's any other questions that we can... not currently right now, but as I said before, if you have any questions about mod support or modding or anything like that, then feel free to drop them in chat and I will ask them of Mr. and Kali and or Chris, depending on who I think should answer it, but I'm assuming all three of them can answer them whenever they... anyway, I'm sure all three can answer them just as equally well, is what I was trying to say. But I think we can take a look at some of these official mods. So Adam, if we can go back to us for a brief second, and then we can load up this save that we had earlier. And so yeah, these official mods. Bisser and Kali, how did this come about? Because I don't know of a lot of developers who release mod support and then also say, oh, by the way, we made some mods for you to try out. It's often just, here's mod support, do with it what you will. So how did this idea come about?
Stranded is a complex game. It has many elements, and sometimes the way they interact with one another are not that obvious. Therefore, we decided early on that we wanted to present the community with a couple of examples of how different elements, how different gameplay elements, how different mechanics and assets interact with one another, so that it will be easier for the community out there to understand the principles behind our modding tools and then give it their best. And one of the mods that I really like is, with that regard specifically, is the Blue Moss Expedition, because it's a very good example between merging things like research, expeditions, additional resources, effects from those resources, recipes, consumables, etc. It's all blended together in a really nice, comprehensive package.
Okay, then I think, Adam, we can jump back into the game here. And Chris has already jumped into this balloon. So the Blue Moss Expedition is one of the official mods that are being added to, that will be available in the Steam Workshop. I need to make sure that is what it is, because it's not automatically in the game with the update. You have to get it from the Steam Workshop. So the Blue Moss Expedition, what happens here? This is a brand new expedition that's added to the game. Bisser and Kali, why don't you quickly explain what the Blue Moss Expedition is and what Blue Moss does for you?
Well, this is an expedition that's triggered in the beginning. So you have to start a new game to see the expedition right away. And it triggers a story bit. One of the survivors will notice a place in the woods that has a blue glow and decides to go on an expedition. And when they visit the place, they will find a new resource. They have to research the uses of this new resource so they can make a recipe out of it and create new energizing drink that makes them happy.
Okay, that's
so
wonderful.
You can just explore right now.
Yeah, let's send Chris or any of them off to an expedition, I think.
And as I saw you selecting Chris, I was relieved by the fact that there is absolutely no chance for Chris to die on this expedition. I think that would be really unfortunate.
We shall see.
We shall see. I've sent him off at least, and we're gonna... okay, Adam, could we please focus back on me for a quick second? We can still be in the game. I'm just... there we are. And there was also a question here from Amani Wolf saying, do we need to start a new game to add these mods, or do we just have to restart a game?
Basically, it really depends on the mod. So, for example, as Kelly mentioned with the Blue Moss Expedition, just because we wanted to make this mod visible to the players, it's available right at the start of the game. So for it, you have to, and then it's depending on how the mods are configured.
Okay. So yeah, for some of these, like the landing pod statue will be available from the beginning, but if I were to load up a save with the landing pod statue mod activated, it might not be there for me depending on how
I think
parameters
specifically the landing pod statue should be there.
Okay.
But well, I might be mistaken.
I mean, I don't remember. I'm asking you specifically, but I'm sure people will also be able to figure this out when they load these mods up.
The purpose for those example mods were not to give immediate additions to the game. So, for example, the landing pod, it surely does look nice, but we use it as an example of how to add custom geometry in the game.
Okay.
So the purpose of those mods is to allow the players to understand how the mod tools are structured and what's the logic behind them, so they can start experimenting and add their own mods.
Okay, that sounds like, yeah, that is definitely a reasonable explanation, if you ask me. So we've sent Chris away on this blue moss expedition. So let's talk. I mean, we've got the landing pod statue right in front of us. So why don't you introduce this for us while we're waiting?
So yeah, basically what we try to achieve with all those mods that we are presenting is how different mod items work and how they can work together. And this is like the most simple one, since you have like only 2 mod items that are definitely required. The first one is the entity, because you are importing a custom entity, and the second one is the building, and you attach this entity to the building. And we use like the dog statue as a base for this mod, and we just tweaked the entity, the display name, some of the characteristics for the construction side, and so on. For example, when you're building it, it's green instead of blue, like the blueprint, and it's very easy. And since we wanted to have this available at any point of the game, we added just the stone as starting wood.
Yeah.
But this is something very easy to achieve. Like you can do this mod right away if you want to try the mod editor. And also we added some explanation in the documentation. At the end, you will see how those mods were created and what was the idea behind the different mod items. So this is something you can definitely try doing yourself.
And in the game, the landing pod statue works like all the other statues. So you build them, and then one of the survivors can walk up to them, appreciate them, and get some like relaxation and happiness points, essentially.
Yes.
Yes, because it's based on an existing object statue in the game.
And now it looks like Chris has returned from the Blue Moss expedition, and then should there be then a Blue Moss research, or how does this work?
Yeah, when you finish the expedition, you get a story bit.
Right.
That's usually triggered when the expedition is finished. But if he has already visited this...
You may have done it already at some point, or...
Oh.
No?
Nope.
Interesting. All right. Live environment, folks. It might just be tiny issue that we're just going to skip past it. But yeah, usually there'd be a pop-up saying, hey, I found this thing. We can make something from it, essentially, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's very tricky with mods sometimes because you have to test and readjust and test and readjust.
Yeah.
It's normal. This is why we have the test environment.
Yeah.
Because you can trigger basically every mod item and test it separately.
Okay. I think then we can take a look at this this last one here, which is one of my favorites, just because from I think it's the name for me.
Oh.
It's just there's something about the words meat plant and then just mushing them together. So this is a research that you start off with if you start a new game and if you have this mod available. and it is exactly what it sounds like. It is meat that you plant and then you harvest it. So if you're in one of those situations where you desperately need a lot of meat, might I suggest the meat plant?
To tame a dog.
Like to tame a dog, or to tame 5 dogs, for
Yeah.
example, or to feed a lot of very, very hungry survivors. And yeah, like Lena Bobina says, meat from the ground, I'm scared. And I think in my plan here, I just had the word meat plant just kind of written out in all caps. But yeah, this is the meat plant. And I saw there was also a suggestion in chat saying, why don't we make carnivorous olphin? And so, I mean, if you end up making carnivorous olphin, why not treat them to some meat plants?
Yes,
You know?
From a distance.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, from a distance. But yeah, it's the meat plant field, and as you can see, it's meat that you grow as a plant, and it grows slowly but moderately, and then eventually it becomes harvestable red meat that you can then use for anything you use meat for in the game. I think it's amazing.
Yes, that was one of the mods that we created, colorizing an existing entity in the game that's usually found in the desert biome. Players are welcome to rename it to any soya-related entity if they soya-related name if they feel like to. Or, as you mentioned, introduce carnivorous Ulfen to the game,
yeah.
which for me is like probably a step too far because I do love the Ulfens, so I wouldn't like to see carnivorous Ulfen in the game. But hey, it's once the game is released, it's no longer your game; it's the player's game. So whatever they want to do with it, that's what the mods are for.
Absolutely. K Enigma actually had a very good comment in chat saying, I guess the Ulfin would still technically be herbivores since the meat plant is a plant. So I don't know how the rules of nature work when it comes to that stuff, but it is definitely a very, very cool and fun addition. And the first time I was told about it, the first time I saw it, I just kind of shook my head and just went, all right, cool. I'm into this thing. I'm going to put this in every game that I play. And as Björn in chat points out, they have started experimenting with growing meat in laboratories, and so this could sort of be a in-game evolution of that, or at least that's how I'm sort of interpreting it in my head, at least. And but yeah, so meat plants isn't totally sci-fi, and I like the idea of just having, this is a very steady source of meat. If you don't like breeding and slaughtering animals all the time, then why not try meat plants? And yeah, as Lydia points out, it is very red. It is probably the reddest plant I've ever seen in this game or in my life. But yeah, it is the other red meat, and it is available for your survivors with this meat plant mod. And I just love it. I think it's absolutely incredible. Brewmac44 asks, do you have to dry it or do you pickle it? It is literally, you harvest just regular meat. As you can see, Krista is transporting red meat back, so that would go in the freezer or in the drying rack, and so it turns into jerky and stuff like that. If you decide to use it that way.
Every possible option for the red meat is usable there, but of course players are welcome to modify. Wait, what's going on with Chris?
Oh, there was just he wanted to remember the fallen comrades, because this apparently used to be a bigger group, but I think I spotted a grave somewhere over there. So unfortunately, someone did lose their life at one point.
It wasn't Chris.
It wasn't Chris.
So
no, Chris is
players
fine. Chris will
can
live.
define a different type of resource as a harvest from the meat plant or whatever they decide to rename it for.
Yeah, I mean, you can make it into an insect meat plant. You can paint it green, for example. I mean, I'm assuming you can make it into a metal plant, something like that, for example. Just any odd thing you want. Just mess around in the mod editor, and I'm sure you will
Just
find
an output resource.
a way. Yeah, exactly. It's an output resource. If there are any other questions about the mod tools and the things that you can do with them for Bisser and Kali from Hemimon, feel free to ask them in the chat. Lydia wants to know who came up with the idea of making meat into plants or making plants into meat. Was that sort of was that a group decision, or did someone just come into the office one day and go, meat plant?
I think it was a call of the lead designer of the project at some point, but I also think that at some point in the game balance, many months prior release, he was kind of not satisfied with the ways to get meat and just wanted to solve some problem and continue testing the game. So these are my vague memories on the topic.
All right, cool. So there's a question here from Sealander, not about modding, but about the new update that we added into the game now. So there is a new feature in which if you click on basically anything that you can build out of other materials, you can reconstruct them. So I think if we click on one of the walls, for example, there should be a oh, that's just a room that you've defined. But yeah, there's a reconstruct button on the side there, and if you click it, then you can very easily just reconstruct the floor, for example, in this case, into another material, which I think is a very, very good addition. That makes it easier to swap out something, reconstruct something from one thing to another, and you don't have to tear it down and then build something over where it used to be. So nice little addition. And True Queen MLB says that is awesome. Sorry, Bisser, you were going to say.
I just wanted to mention that with this kind of quality of life update, we wanted to make it easier for the players to revamp their homesteads and bases and rooms as they progress, because at some point it's becoming a balancing game. Do I want to swap out something existing for something better that I already have the capability to construct, but do I want to do all the clicks and stuff? And we just wanted to streamline the process and make the life of the players easier in mid and late game.
I was playing on a different save than this one, and I had a bunch of scrap metal shelters, and I noticed the reconstruct button because I didn't know about it initially. So I just double clicked all the metal shelters and then just clicked reconstruct and turn them into sticks, and then within a day I had reconstructed everything into stick shelters instead.
Got your precious scrap metal back.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, that's amazing, wonderful. Let's see here if there are any other questions that we can ask.
We could switch to the other save, the Blue Moss.
Yes, we can actually do that. So yeah, we can actually quickly switch over to the other save and see if the Blue Moss expedition will trigger there.
About the device mirroring.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard you, Besser. You're trying to whisper, but I can hear you. So another thing that we should highlight, is that one, yes.
Yep.
The other thing that we should highlight is device mirroring. So why don't you quickly talk about that while we get this save loaded up?
Okay, device mirroring is a functionality that
we can jump back to the game, Adam.
That we introduced in order to again allow players mid and late game to streamline their production chain. So basically you can select a device and tell them mirror this other similar device, and it just mirrors and does whatever the mirror device is ordered to do.
That's amazing. I mean, that's also a thing that I think people have.
For example, here with those three furnaces, you don't need to click on all three. You just can designate let's say leading furnace and give production priorities to all three just by the leading one.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is something that the community has asked for as well, for us to add something similar. And I think it's a very neat little thing when you have several of one thing and you just wanted to have all the same orders across the board. I think it's a really neat addition. Let's see here if there are any other questions. Yeah, mirroring function will be very useful, says Epsilon Arch. Let's see if we can get this Blue Moss thing up and running. Sorry, Chris, you're going to have to wake up or someone else.
Keep sending me. It's
Let's do Katina instead.
Let's send Katina.
And let's see here as well. K Enigma asks, replacing stuff is amazing in the update. Can we utilize that to replace the color of the bedding? I think you can only replace you can make the materials it's been made of, not necessarily the color. But obviously we can try it on the beds here, because we have some beds right there. If you click on it and click reconstruct.
It's the materials.
Yeah, it changes the material, which then will change the coloring. But yeah. But you know, if you want a different color for your beds, you can probably just mod that in
the mod tools.
In the mod tools. So there you have it. That is something you can. That is a thing you can do. Did she? Yes, she went out on the expedition. Let's see here. Question here from Scanix. Would it be possible to redefine machine gun turrets so that the fire has dispersion and hits multiple targets in a cone? I mean, I'm assuming with the mod tools, maybe, potentially.
That's one for you guys. For Hammermon, are we getting into lure territory there?
I can't answer this out of the top of my head. There is a way to modify the turret for sure, but ultimately, do we have the blue mouse?
Yes, this is the blue mod expedition. So we can, if you finish answering the question, then we can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For some complicated, for tweaking some more complicated parameters, you will eventually need to go into Lua code.
Okay. Yeah. So there are some things that you can do with the editor itself, but then for some more complicated stuff, you might need to dig into some coding and things like that, which I'm sure there are some people who will be able to do. But yeah, we found the blue moss. We got the story pop up. Everything works fine, and now we then have the research to be able to eventually make some blue moss tea. And I hope my survivors will. Sometimes my survivors will enjoy that when I eventually start making it for them. Okay, I think maybe that's gonna do it for the stream. Bister and Collie, is there anything else that you want to mention before we sign off here?
Yeah, well, basically we are very happy to introduce those tools because this is what our game designers use on a daily basis to create these games. So we cannot wait to see what you guys are going to create with the tools.
Yeah,
and
same
first mods. Yeah.
And also, thank you, thanks everyone for the support that we're getting for the game. This community rocks, and we're really happy to see people enjoying and playing the game. And now we can't wait to see what they will do with the modding, because we know that even if it might take a little bit of time, there will be a lot of mods showing up, and we will monitor this as well. And just can't wait to see what you guys make out of it.
Yeah, same here. It's going to be very, very fun to see what sort of things pop up in the Steam workshop, and yeah, I'm greatly looking forward to it. But thank you so much, Bister and Collie, for joining me on this stream. We're going to let you go now, and then we're going to do our final wrap up. So, to summarize everything that we've talked about in this hour, if you just joined us, very sorry, but it's over now. It's going to end very, very soon. The stream, I mean. But you can obviously catch up on the VOD for this stream if you're watching us over on the Stranded Alien Dawn YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/StrandedAlienDawn and you will find the VOD right there. But yeah, to summarize, mod tools are now available for Stranded Alien Dawn. Steam Workshop support is now available for Stranded Alien Dawn. And there are some new official mods that have released that are now available on the Steam Workshop. It is a landing pod statue. There's some meat plants. There's a blue moss expedition that you can then create blue moss. You can then use blue moss to make into a special tea. And of course, there is the Chris Jacko mod. And speaking of Chris Jackson, thank you so much for joining me for the stream. It's been great to have you here. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. And obviously, it's been really cool having you both in my game and next to me on the sofa.
Yep.
And thank you to, of course, the rest of the community team here at Frontier that make my job so wonderful. Thank you to the mods in chat for keeping it down. And of course, thank you to you for watching. We're going to be back next week, next Wednesday, with a new Stranded Alien Dawn live stream. Since we're doing a stream today, we're not going to do one tomorrow, but next Wednesday we're going to do a new Stranded Alien Dawn live stream. And if there's some mods out by that point, maybe I'll check out some mods, or we'll continue a Desertum playthrough that we've done, that we've been continuing to do. So until then, we will see you then. And from myself and from Chris Jackson, bye bye, everyone.